Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making these little voodoo rag dolls. They are what I consider a no-sew body, which means we'll make the arms and the legs, and then we'll start at the top of the head, and as we work our way down we'll attach the arms, work on the body, attach the legs, stuff and clothes. And then we'll have to sew on the little embellishments like the buttons, the bow, the hair, the little collar, and embroider the mouth. And as a bonus, I am making two different styles. So there'll be a sitting version. So his bottom will be flat so she can sit however you want her to. And then we'll also have more of a ragdoll style with no flat bottom. For this video, I will be using a number 4 medium weight yarn and a 4.25 millimeter hook. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, and I will also be providing a drop down at the top of the screen with the pattern instructions for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And if you enjoy this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And if you ever want to share something that you have crocheted with me, I have my Facebook craft page link down in the description that you can click on. And come on over and leave me a photo or message in the comments. I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. Alright, we're going to be starting with the arms, and you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing a knot with the loop on the end as if I was making a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, pull up, chain 1, and remember that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1 we are going to do 8 single crochets into the loop over top of the tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then if you need to, pull on that tail to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one, and for row 2 we are going to do 8 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 16. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12, increase 13 and 14, increase 15 and 16, row 3 we are just going to do 16 single crochets all the way around. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 4, 16 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 5, 16 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 6, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that pattern all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, 2, decrease, for 3, and repeat that around. 4, 5, decrease, for 6, 7, 8, decrease, for 9, 10, 11, decrease, for 12. Row 7, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oopsie, and 12. Row 8, we're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 9, we're going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 10, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease, and repeat that for a total of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease for 10. Row 11, we are going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Row 12, we are going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Row 13, we are going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Row 14, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 8. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8. Row 15, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 16, another 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 17, 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and now we're done our arm and we're ready to stuff. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker, grab my stuffing. Now how you stuff this is all going to depend on how floppy you want them. So if you want them kind of firmer and so he sits up, you're going to add a little more stuffing. And if you want them to kind of be like a rag doll, then you're going to add a little less stuffing. And you'll see I'm using my scissors to try and get that all the way down into the bottom of the arm. I'm going to do what I consider kind of a medium So it's kind of holding its shape, but it's not going to be squishy and flat. So I have it stuffed to about here firmly. And then I'm just going to add a little bit into the arms. Up top, you don't want too much because you don't want them to stick straight out. So if you're happy with how much stuffing you have in there, grab your hook and we'll reinsert that. Whoop. We're going to fold our arm. We're going to go in the next stitch, and then we're going to go in the last stitch on the other side. There we go. And we're going to do 3 single crochets across through both sides. So 1 into the next stitches on both sides, 2, and in the last one, 3. And then you'll tie that off, leaving a little bit of a string. Even though we aren't sewing these on, I do something with the strings at the end to help secure the arms a little better. Now, if you are done your first arm, I will put a screenshot with a timestamp in the next frame so you can go back and do your second arm. And if you're done your second arm, just keep on watching and we will continue on to the next part. All right, now we're going to do the legs, and again, you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing a knot with a loop on the end as if I was going to make a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, chain 1, and remember that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, we're going to do 8 single crochets into the loop over top of the tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whoopsie, 8, and then pull that tail to close up that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 8 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 16. So increase, 1 and 2, increase, 3 and 4, increase, 5 and 6, increase, 7 and 8, increase, 9 and 10, increase, 11 and 12, increase, 13 and 14, our last increase, 15 and 16. Row 3, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 20. 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, and our last increase, 19 and 20. Row 4, we are going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Row 5, we're going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Row 6, we are going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Row 7, 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Row 8, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 16. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4. 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a last decrease for 16. Row 9, we are going to do 16 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 10, 16 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 11, 16 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 12, 16 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Row 13, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. Row 14, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 15, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 16, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 17, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That was our last row, so we can take our stitch marker out now and we'll add some stuffing, so get that ready. So this time, if you did your arms on the lighter side, remember to do your legs the same way, and then if you did your arms on the firmer side, you'll do your legs a little bit firmer. I like to do the bottom firm and then the top light. So I'm happy with that. It's a little squishy, but it's not flat. And then just add a little bit into the top. And then if you're happy with it, insert your hook back in. And just like we did the arms, you're going to go into the next stitch. And then the last stitch on the back side. And we're going to do 6 single crochets across, but we're going to, we only have room for 5, so we're going to start with 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then we're going to do an increase in this middle stitch. 3 and 4, and then 2 single crochets on this side. So 5 and 6, and then you're just going to tie that off. I had to redo mine, so mine's already cut, but cut your end now. And if you just did your first one, I will be putting a screenshot with a timestamp in the next frame for you to go back and do your second one. And if you've done your second one, just keep on watching and we will move on to the next part. All right, now we're going to start on the head, and again, you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing a knot with a loop on the end as if I was going to be making a chain. Grab my yarn, chain 1, and remember that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, we're going to do 8 single crochets into our loop over top of our tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then pull that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, and our last increase, 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and our last increase, 29 and 30. Row 6, we are going to be doing 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36. Row 7, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, increase, 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, increase, 27 and 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, increase, 34 and 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and our last increase, 41 and 42. Row 8, we are going to do 6 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 48. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and an increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and an increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, increase, 31 and 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, increase, 39 and 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and our last increase, 47 and 48. Row 9, we are going to do 48 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 10, we are going to do 48 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 11, 48 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 12, 48 single crochets all the way around. Whoopee, wrong side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 13, 48 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 14, 48 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 15, 48 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Row 16, we are going to do 6 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a decrease for 7. And repeat that around. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, decrease for 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, decrease for 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, decrease for 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and a decrease for 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and our last decrease for 42. Row 17, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and a decrease for 36. Row 18, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and a decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30. Row 19, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and our last decrease, 24. Row 20, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1, 2, decrease for 3, 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, and our last decrease for 18. Okay, we're going to do the arms next, so grab those and get them ready. Okay. Now for the arm row, I am going to break that up across the top. And we are going to begin with 3 single crochets across. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to grab our first arm. And we want to make sure the strings are facing the front. So the back is where our stitch marker's been. We want our strings facing towards the front. And we're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and through the head. So through the arm and the next stitch of the head, that's 1. Through the arm and the head, that's 2. And through the arm and through the head, that's 3. And then we're going to do 6 single crochets across, and make sure you're going in the next stitch and not the same one you were just in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now grab your other arm, and again make sure your strings are facing the front. So my back is here, this is my front. And again we're going to put 3 single crochets through the arm and the head. So that's 1 through the arm, through the head, That's 2. Through the arm, through the head, that's 3. And then you should have 3 single crochets left. 1, 2, 3. And if for some reason you don't have the same amount of stitches at the end, you've probably gone into a stitch twice. It's really easy to do when doing this row. So just make sure that you're in every stitch all the way around and you have 18 stitches, because this will center the rest of the body and legs. Row 22, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, and an increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, and an increase, 7 and 8. And when you're going around these strings, make sure they're on the outside, because we need to be able to grab them for later. Repeat, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase, 23 and 24. Row 23, we are going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 24, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, and an increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, And our last increase, 29 and 30. Row 25, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 26, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 27, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 28, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 29, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 30, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 31, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 32, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 33, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 34, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 35, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, now we're going to mark out where we add the legs. So what we want to do is fold our little guy in half. We want the front facing us. I do have a count for this, but just in case we're all in a different place or you're doing it left-handed, I'm going to show you how to just make sure they're centered in the front, and then it doesn't matter what your stitch count is. So once you have it folded across, we want to have 15 stitches on this side, and then we'll have 15 staggered on the back on either side. So I'm happy with how it is centered right there. So when I start crocheting, I'm going to be starting down here and going around this way. So this will be where my first leg starts. If you're left-handed, you may be going the other way. So I'm going to start here, my first stitch on the top, and I want to have 15 across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then that's my 15th stitch in the front. So that's where my first stitch of my first leg is going to be. So I'm just going to mark that temporarily with a scrap of thread. And then we're going to insert our hook and grab your legs so they are handy when we get to them. Whoops, I just dropped mine on the floor. Okay. So if my count is right, I should have 10 single crochets across to start. And don't worry if you have a different number, as long as you're going to the stitch you marked for center. So 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I forgot I put my camera down. Okay. So that brings me right to where I marked. And again, don't worry if your number is different. And if you're left-handed, you may be doing this row in reverse. Grab your first leg, and I like to have my strings going this way to the inside. And we are going to do 6 single crochets through the leg and through the body. So through the leg and then the next stitch of the body. So that's 1. Through the leg, through the body, that's 2. Through the leg, through the body, that's 3. Through the leg, through the body, that's 4. Through the leg, through the body, That's 5. Through the leg and through the body. That's 6. And now we're going to put our strings to the inside this time because we're going to tie them on the inside. And now we are going to do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to grab our other leg, and I'm just putting mine the same way with the strings going this way from which way I'm crocheting. And 6 single crochets through the leg and through the body. 1 through the leg, through the body. That's 2 through the leg, through the body. That's 3 through the leg, through the body. That's 4 through the leg, through the body. That's 5 through the leg, through the body. That's 6. All right, we're going to stop right here for a second so we can tie the leg strings together and stuff him, because after this point, depending on whether you're going to make the sitting version or the or close him up, everything will be different after this point. So let's get him stuffed and tied. So you're going to take each of your leg strings, and we're just going to loosely tie them. Make sure you have the right strings and you're not using your working yarn. And we just want there to be enough tension on it so it's about the same width across as the outside of your body. Just tie it loosely and slowly tighten it up. Then we'll give them a little cut, just so they don't pop out in the future. They're nice and secure. And then you're going to grab your stuffing. And we want to have the head fairly firm, but shape it as you go. So if you want it round, you're going to kind of get it out to all sides. If you want it to be kind of flat, make sure you're not pushing it out to the front and the back, and you're putting it to the sides. I'm going to have mine kind of a round head and a bit of a flat body. If you're doing the sitting one, probably more stuffing is better. If you're doing the straight kind of floppy one that you're going to close next, you probably don't need quite as much stuffing. So we'll just keep filling that in, and make sure you're not stretching your stitches at the neck where you decreased. You can always push it up and use your hand to kind of form the shape you want. So mine's a little flat and round this way, so I think I want a little bit more. Make sure this isn't happening to yours. I think they changed the materials that of my stuffing, because they sure seem different now. Like, this is pretty firm, but it's not nearly as stuffed as I would usually stuff it. And then put a little bit in the body. You can always add a little bit more as you get closer to the end. Right, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the in the round close for the sitting version right now, since it will be easier to undo than if I sew this closed. So if you're going in the round, so he sits like this, just keep on watching. And if you want to stitch him closed, so he's like this, I'll put a timestamp right here, and you can skip on over to that part and finish the body off. Alright, so for the sitting version only, let's insert our hook back in, and we need to finish off row 36 with 5 single crochets across, or whatever your stitch count is that made your legs centered. So next stitch, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row 37, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4. 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. Row 38, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18. Now remember, I'm taking this apart and I'm going to be closing it up here under the legs down here. So if you're doing it this way, make sure you're adding some stuffing. There's no point in me adding some stuffing just to take it all back out. Okay, there's only 2 rows left, so if you need to add some stuffing as we go here in the next couple rows. Row 39, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that around for a total of 12. 1 and a decrease for 2, 3 and a decrease for 4, 5 and a decrease for 6, 7 and a decrease for 8, 9 and a decrease for 10, 11 and a decrease for 12. Okay, row 40, this is our last row. You may not need to do this depending on the size of your hole, or if you're using plush yarn, or you may only need to do half of them, but we're going to do 6 decreases to finish off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're just going to slip stitch in the next stitch to fasten off. Remember, mine isn't stuffed all the way. You need to add more stuffing if yours looks like this. You want it nice and full on the bottom so that it can sit flat. Oh, here I'm showing you, and I can't. You want this to be nice and poofy in the back so he sits flat and doesn't flip over. String, string, strings. Let's see if I can do this double. So now you're going to cut your string. I'm going to leave mine because I'm undoing it, just to make it easier for me. So you're going to have 1 piece of string. I just haven't cut mine, so I'm leaving it doubled. And then to close up, you are just going to weave in and out of the top loops of that last row. And then you're going to pull that tight to close. You'll tie a knot, and then you'll put your yarn in the center and come out somewhere in the back, and then give that a cut. All right, so now I'm going to put the other way to close in. So if you finish closing this way, there'll be a timestamp so you can zip on past the other way of closing and start on the next part. Okay, this is where you want to be if you're going to close him up so he is nice and flat on the bottom. So first thing we want to do is we want to just tie off our end here. So this is our last stitch of our leg, through the leg and the body, and we're just going to go in to that same stitch and tie off, slip stitch and tie off, and then you're going to leave yourself enough of a string to sew that closed. So let's thread that end on. Make sure you have the amount of stuffing you want in. I might have a little too much, but we'll see how that goes. I'm just going to push it down out of my way. And then what we want to do is get to the outside loop on each side. So we're going to be going through this loop. So this is our inside loop. This is our outside loop. And we want to be going on the outside loop when we are on this side as well. I don't know if you can see that with this light. Okay. So this outside loop and this outside loop. So since my yarn is on this side, I'm going to come to this side on the bottom. Then I'm going to go over to the other side, the outside loop. I mean, it probably doesn't matter, but this will kind of not make it so there's no seam there. So then I'm going to come back to this side. And if you have an easier or better way to do this, feel free to do it your way. So I'm just going on the outside loops of each side, back and forth. If anybody knows what this stitch might be called, if there's such a stitch, feel free to leave that, leave that in the comments. And you're just going to do that all the way back and forth till you get to the other side. I just realized when I was doing closing the other guy in the round, I should have done this way first in my finished guy so I could sew the pieces on with the sitting version, because this guy is going to keep flopping over when I sew him on. But that's usually how I learn. Gotta do it the hard way first. So we're almost at the edge. If you think you need more stuffing, this is your last chance to put it in. So just double check maybe if you need to add more stuffing. And just kind of decide where you want to end here. I'm just going to do one more on the very end, and then I'm going to tie it. And when you tie it, you want to keep this straight. You don't want to pull that so it's like that. You want to make sure it's nice and straight across, so his legs stay at the right angle. Then I'm just going to grab a stitch and tie my knot. I'm only going to do one. You can do as many as you want. And then just tie it down on the inside. Might as well take this out. We don't need that anymore. Give that a trim. Whoop. Alright, so your little guy should look like this, or like that. And now that we've got the bottom of the sitting, and I don't know, I'm just going to call this one the floppy one, done, we can all join back up. Because everything will be the same now again. So let's put these strings in, and you're just going to thread one arm string And you're going to put it down in right where your last stitch, where your arm joined. And then you're going to come out the back, center of the neck somewhere. Do that with the other string. I'm going to put it in that last stitch where you joined your arm. And then you're going to come out that same stitch in the back where your other piece of yarn came out for your other arm. So they're both coming out the same hole. And keep track of those ends because we don't want them to twist around. We're going to give them one tie. Make sure your ends are staying. So it should look like this. And then you're going to wrap those ends around the neck and turn it around. And then you're just going to pull them to bring in these knots and kind of bring them forward a bit. And that just makes them less floppy. This guy I probably don't want to bring them in as much as I usually do. They will relax a little bit, but once you're happy with where they're positioned, you're just going to tie that now and secure it. I just realized, taking my stitch marker out, I'm not going to know the front from the back. So I'm going to leave mine in, just so I know this is the back. So I'm just going to cut them like that, and then I'll have to deal with how short they are to put in. So if you can keep track of your front and the back, you can put them in and out. But I'm going to leave mine out. Okay, we're going to make the 3 buttons now, and mine are going to be in 3 different colors. You can, again, start this however you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be making my knot with the loop on the end. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And we're going to do half double crochets for this row. So we're going to do 8 half double crochets into the loop over the tail. And if you've never done a half double crochet, it's basically the exact same thing as a single crochet, only you yarn over first. So we're going to yarn over, go into our loop, grab our yarn, pull up. We've got 3 loops on our hook now, and we're going to grab our yarn and go through all 3 loops, and there's your half double crochet. So that's 1, remember, yarn over, 2, 3 half double crochets, 4 half double crochets, 5 half double crochets, 6 half double crochets, 7 half double crochets, and 8 half double crochets. Pull that tail if you need to close the hole. Then you're just going to join in the first stitch that you made and slip stitch and tie off. And you'll leave enough of a tail to sew that on. Now I'm going to grab a darker blue, and again, you can begin any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm making my knot with the loop on the end, like I'm going to make a chain. Exactly the same as we did the other one. So I make my chain 1 to attach my yarn to my loop, and we're going to do 8 half double crochets into the loop over the tail. Remember, yarn over to start. So that's 1 half double crochet, 2 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets, 4 half double crochets, 5 half double crochets, 6 half double crochets, 7 half double crochets, and 8 half double crochets, and then join in that first stitch and tie off, leaving a tail to sew on. And then I'll be doing a black one. This one will be hard to see, but it's exactly the same as the other two. So you just make your beginning loop however you prefer. I make my chain 1 to attach my yarn to my loop, and then we're going to do 8 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pull your tail if you need to, and join in that first stitch and tie off, leaving some tail to sew that on. Now for the next part, I'm just going to use some scraps that are close to the colors I need. So I'm putting a yellow X on the black, the matching green in the dark blue button, and I'm using this blue to put the X on the light blue button. Alright, I'm going to do my light blue button with the dark blue thread at first, so that when we do the black button, you can tell what I'm doing, even though you won't be able to see it very well. So I want to have all my buttons to the side. For some reason, that's just how I like to sew them on. So I'm going to make sure my strings are to the side when I start my X. And I'm just going so that I'm on the inside of these V's that go around. Leave a little bit of a tail at the bottom to sew that on. So I'm going to go diagonally across. Then I'm going to come up here, try and get in the stitch that'll bring it across the center. And then just go across and down. And there's my 1X. You can always fix it if you don't like how it turned out, but I think that's good enough. And then we're just going to tie that. Fairly loose so that you don't pull it on the other side. Oops, I might have just pulled it a little bit. There we go. And kind of play with it a bit, and then we'll cut all those ends off. My beginning tail and my knot I just made. There's our first little button. Now let's do the X on our black one. So I'm grabbing yellow yarn for this one. Again, I make sure that my string is at the side, but it doesn't really matter, whatever you prefer. And I'm going to make my little yellow X. And we'll tie that together. So I'm tying it loose at first, and then I'm slowly going tighter till it's secure. And then we can cut those ends off. Make sure you're not cutting your tail that you're going to be sewing with. And then now I'm going to do my darkest button, and I'm just grabbing the same thread I used as my main color for the dots. This one's a little trickier to get even. We're just going to go over and up. So I'm going to get my thing on the side again. So kind of where we ended up putting our X's, that's where we want to try and put our little dots. So I'm just going to go around, not even a full stitch. I might do it, I think I'm going to do it this way so that hopefully I don't get them too close. I gotta get around that stitch. And then now I'm gonna go in the middle if I can, evenly, which is tricky. I feel like I'm coming up the middle, but I'm not gonna be going down the middle. That works, I guess, and then do that on the other side. I guess that's not bad. Better than I thought I would do on my first try. Then we're just going to tie those ends. And then once they're secure, we'll cut the 3 strings in the back. All right, now we're going to do this little band that we tie around the neck. And I didn't actually write down what I did, but I'm pretty sure it was probably around 18, since it's 18 stitches around the neck. So you're going to leave a little bit of a tail, and then this time you will have to make a knot with a loop on the end. So you're just going to fold it in half, wrap that around your finger, bring that loop down, around, and through. You're going to pinch that loop, and then you're just going to slide that knot up. And you want this loop to be just a little bit bigger than your hook, just so you can fit it inside there. And then we're going to chain 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And just before you commit to that number, just wrap it around the neck and see if it'll meet up. You want it to be tight so it kind of cinches the neck together. That looks good to me, so I'm going to tie that off, and again leaving some tail there, just so we can tie it at the end, because we're not sewing this on. We're just going to tie it and then hide our ends on the inside. All right, now we're going to start on the bow. And again, we're going to leave ourselves a little bit of a tail, just in case we need it for sewing or doing something else at the end on either side. And we're going to make our knot with the loop on the end, like we did for our little chain, because we're going to be starting with a chain again. And we are going to do 37 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Now we're going to be doing half double crochets again, and we're going to be starting in the second chain from the hook. So not the one on your loop, not this first one right here, but this second chain. We're going to do 36 half double crochets along your chain. So remember, yarn over for the half double crochets in that second chain and make your half double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as you're going along, make sure your chain isn't twisting. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 2, we're going to do 36 half double crochets across, and we're going to be starting in this first stitch right here. So this is our chain, and then we're starting in this stitch right here. 36 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then when you get to this 36th one, make sure you get under both sides of that V there. 36. Chain 1 and turn. Row 3, we're going to do 36 half double crochets across, and remember, start right here in this first stitch. So there's your chain, there's your first stitch. 36 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and then get into that end underneath both sides of the V for 36. Chain 1 and turn. Row 4, 36 half double crochets across, and we'll be starting in this stitch right here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and down in under those V's on that last stitch, 36. Now this is where I ended mine. If you want your bow to be a little higher, you can add another row or two. I'm just going to tie off now, and I'm going to leave myself quite a long string. We're going to sew the two ends together and probably use this for sewing it on. I can't remember what I did because I did it a month ago now, but we will need quite a bit of a tail. Okay, and now I'm just going to take my shorter end. So this is our starting tail, and I'm just going to fold it over. Doesn't really matter which side is which. We'll thread on our needle here, and I'm just gonna go back and forth on each side and join that together. Doesn't have to be fancy. We'll be putting this in the back. So I'm just going down a stitch, catching an edge, coming up and catching an edge on the other side. Trying to keep these lines lined up so that it's even. And then you want to make sure your last stitch is on the edge. And then don't worry how fancy this looks because it's going to be scrunched in the back when we add the hair. And then I'm just going to tie it a couple of times to secure that. So we're just going to put that to the side for now because our hair is going to go inside of it. So we'll do that next. All right, we're going to do the hair now, and again we're going to have to start with a chain, so leave yourself a bit of a tail in case we need that later. And you're going to do your knot with the loop on the end. Remember, you want that loop to be just a little bit bigger than your hook. And we are going to chain 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now for row 1, starting in that second chain from the hook, we are going to do 2 slip stitches. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do 10 single crochets down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now starting in this first stitch right here, we are going to do row 2, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now when we do our turn to go on the, we want to make sure we turn it so that we're on this side of our chain, because we don't want to, if we go on this side, we're going to be coming back into where we just went, and that's our first hair. So we want to make sure our first hair is down on this side, and we're going on this side of the chain. So we want to get in that second stitch, and for me, I kind of have to look on this side. So this is our second chain. Flip it around and then go in there. So 2 slip stitches, 1, 2, and then we're going to do 10 single crochets down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, set my way, 10. And if for some reason you have 9, just put an increase here. You want to make sure you have the 10 single crochets to the end, so your next row works. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. Row 4, starting in this stitch right here, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now again, for row 5, we need to go on this back side. So we're going to mark our second chain from the hook and twist. And we're going to do 2 slip stitches. 1, 2. And now we're going to do 10 single crochets down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and make sure you finish off with 10 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Row 6, starting in this first stitch right here, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That should be looking like this now. Now again, for row 7, kind of mark off your second chain from the hook and give it a twist so you can go on the back side. And you're going to do 2 slip stitches. Oh, can't get in it this time. There we go. 1, 2, and then 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 1 and turn. Row 8, again starting in that first stitch, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, for row 9, again we got to mark off that second chain from the hook and flip it around. Do our 2 slip stitches. 1, 2, and then 10 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Chain 1 and turn. All right, last one, row 10, 3 single crochets starting in that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And row 11, find that second stitch from the hook, flip it around so you're on the back side. Do your 2 slip stitches, 1, 2, and then 10 single crochets down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you can tie that off, leaving some tail. We're mostly just sewing this together at the bottom, so you don't need too much. So you should have a little piece that looks like this with 6 little kind of spikes coming out. Alright, so we can do a couple things here now. You can roll it or fold it, and I folded mine, so I have my starting tail here, my finishing tail on this side, and what I did was I folded this side over so that this is in between here. So like this. And then I took these two and I just folded them back behind so they kind of went in between, just like so you can kind of see them all. And then we are gonna pick an end. I think I'm gonna pick this end here to thread. And I'm just gonna stitch that together. Just kind of randomly. So I'm just gonna go in and out up the top a bit. So from here to here where our little seam is, where we folded. You're not going to see this. It's going to be inside the bow, so it doesn't have to be fancy. Just try not and twist it up so you're scrunching it. Keep it nice and flat. And then I'm going to go across the top here. Basically, we're just making it so if you pulled this, it's not going to unravel. So it just stays in this shape. And then I'm going to come down the other side a couple times. Actually, I'm going to make sure I grab all 3 sections. That should be pretty good. That's not going to really come apart. Plus, we're going to be sewing in this again with the pink when we put it in the ribbon. Or the bow, I guess. Now I'm just going to tie it on the bottom. Couple of times, and then I'm just going to put these ends on the inside so they're out of our way. We won't be using them for anything, just need to hide them. So I'm just going to come up inside and out somewhere. Again, make sure you don't gather it or scrunch it up. You want it to stay nice and flat. Then we'll just give that a cut. All right, and now we are going to attach the hair to the bow. So we want, this is going to be our back where our seam was, where we sewed it together. And I think I'm going to make that the bottom. So we just want to make it kind of, make sure we're in about halfway where our seam is. And we're going to tuck our hair in there. And just thread on. I'm just going to do the short end. So this is our starting tail. And same thing as we did when we did the yellow at the end for the hair. We're just going to go in and out. I regretted having it too high or too low, and I can't remember now. Just kind of where the hairs come out is where we want it to be lined up. And we're just going to go back and forth, catching both sides. Making sure we get the, so we want to make sure we're getting a chunk of hair. See, I barely got that there. So make sure you're getting that hair. That's, you're going to have this done and I won't even have it started. All right. So again, you're just securing the hair in the middle of your bow. I should be using my middle one here, I think. I guess maybe this is where I'll just remind you guys, if you enjoy my videos and you want to share anything with me, you can go down in the description and I have a link to my Facebook craft page. You can leave me a photo or a comment. You have to go into a post to leave it. You can't just post directly onto the page. But I love to see what you guys all come up with. Some people make some cute little changes, come up with the most creative things. And you don't have to join or follow or anything. You can just go right there. Okay. so we're back down to the bottom. So I just went up one side, down the other, making sure I caught the hair as I went, and now I'm just going to tie that. There's also other links there to other social pages, but if you want me to see something you've made, it'll be on the Facebook craft page because I rarely go to the other ones. Okay, we're going to just leave that hang because now we have to use our other long string. Remembering we need some of this to sew on. We are going to, let's maybe move it over a little bit. Or is it on this side already? We need to bring it over and come up and around, and we're just going to wrap it and gather it. So pull it nice and tight on this side. So what we're doing is we're making the poof of the bow, the middle of the bow, and then the poof on the other side. So we're going to do the one side, and we're going to wrap it a few times. Careful not to break your string. And then we're going to do the same thing with that same string on the other side. I know this is kind of awkward. I just couldn't think of any other way to do this without sewing the hair on the back of the bow, and then you would see it. So mine isn't turning out very pretty, but you can play with yours a little bit. We don't want that to gather that way. I want it to gather down. So your back is going to be a bit of a mess. Once you got the kind of circle bump and then the two sides, then you're just going to wrap the other side. You need about 20 hands for this, but you'll get it. And then once you have it done enough, or you think you have it secured enough and you have the poofs you want, then you're just going to tie it again to that little piece of thread that we left. And you want to make sure it ties down at the bottom, because then we're going to use this same thread, if you have any left, to sew it on. Alright, I made mine a little bit big there, but I think once it's on, you won't notice that so much. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's okay. Once we sew it down, it's going to push these up. Alright, let's put our little eyes on now. So we're going to find our center and our, what row we want the top of our eyes to be on. So we want the top of our eyes to start between rows 8 and 9. So we're going to find our first starting loop. And we're going to count down 8 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So between rows 8 and 9, that's going to be the top of our eye row. So let's just put a pin there, and you want to make sure you're in the center. So I just kind of use my arms, center my arms and here, and just kind of go down like this and try and find my center. That seems pretty good to me. And we want to have about 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 stitches between our eyes. So let's get it over here. So this is our row we want. So we're just going to move it over a couple. So 1, 2 stitches from our pin, and we're lined up in that same row. And I'm just going to pin this on now. Make sure my X is right, and it is. And I'm just going to put a pin on the top, wherever the bottom is laying, on the side, and then on the other side. And I'm going to put my other eye on as well while I'm here, so I know what's happening. Make sure those yellow strings aren't showing. So I'm going to line the top of my eye Remember, I wanted my eyes to start on the side, so I'm making sure that they're over there. And I want my top of my eye to line up in that row. And about 2 or so stitches over. Just kind of check that they seem even to you. And I'll put some pins in there. 1. Oops, I want that to be twisted the proper direction. 2, I'm making sure they're lined up on the bottom too. And before you start sewing, just double check that when you pull it, look at it far away, that it's kind of where you want it. So my arms are here. I think that's okay. So I'm going to do the blue one first. And you'll see now why I always cheat and use safety eyes, because I don't know why, but I'm never happy with sewing on the eyes. So we're going to go down and under our eye, catching a piece of the head. Oops. You want to kind of pull that knot down and in if you can. Then you're going to go up the next stitch. And I'm going through both of the V's in the stitch. You don't have to, but you will get a bit of a ridge if you do. And then down the next stitch underneath the eye so that we don't see the stitches unless you're going for a look where you see the stitches. If you're making a voodoo doll instead, you may want to see your stitches. And then back up. I'm just going to do that all the way around, and as you're getting to the top, just make sure your top stitch is going in that line that you marked. And you're just going to keep on going till you get around to the other side. Try not to cinch it too tight or you will change the shape of your eye. And again at the bottom I'm making sure I'm in this line that I measured, I lined my eyes up with. Now I'm back where I started. And I'm just going to come back up in, I'm going one stitch past my knot. And then I'm going to come back down and try and catch a stitch that I just sewed on for tying off. So I'm not tying it to the eye, I'm tying it to one of my stitches. And then I'm just gonna go underneath the eye and send that out the back if I can. This new stuffing I have is so dense. I can't, my needle doesn't even want to go through it. Oh, there it is. Come on. And we'll give that a cut. I'm going to switch needles just because I don't want to break that one. I'll grab my metal one. So now I'm going to thread on my other eye. And we're going to do the exact same thing. So for this eye, I went up and around this way. So when I do this eye, I'm going to go up and around this way. And just in my brain, that makes me feel like if the eye's going to slide, they'll both slide the same way. So down and around, making sure you're underneath the eye. And up the next stitch. Down and around, making sure I'm in that same row where I lined up the top of my eye. And if you find that they're not tight to the head like you'd like, you can always go around a second time. But I just do it once. Maybe that's why I'm not happy with my eyes when I sew them on. I don't know. You want to make sure you're not bringing the yellow. See, I have that yellow tied up close there. I want to make sure I'm not bringing that back up or around. That's tucked in there good. Now I'm at the bottom, so I want to make sure that this lines up with the same line. Black one's hard to tell what stitch I'm going in and out of. I'm getting close to where I started. So I'm going past my knot, back up on the other side of it, and then I'm going to come down and tie in one of my stitches if I can. So you want to find, oh, that's my knot. Might have to go all the way over here. So I'm definitely in a stitch there. And we'll give her a tie. And then go under your eye and out the back. Well, that went through nice. And then I'm just going to pick that apart a little bit to fix it. Alright, now we're going to mark off the mouth. So we're going to start at this line here where we lined up our eyes, and we're going to go down 6 rows. So starting in between, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in that 6th, we want to line up in between in the center, and I think I actually have it where I want it already. And now I'm just going to pin the outline of my mouth where I want my stitches to go in. So I'm going to put a pin on each side of this pin. Then we're going to do the edges of the ends of the mouth, and we're going to count 8 holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going in that 8th hole. And we're going to do that on the same side. Or the other side, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in that 8th hole. And now we're going to come down to do this part. We're going to come down 2 holes. I'm not lined up very good here. 1, 2, and over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I went over and then down, so we got to go over and down, and then we'll count over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just have a quick peek. I'm diagonally 1 space there. Diagonally, I guess 1 space there. That should be okay. So let's grab our black yarn now. So grab a chunk of black yarn and thread your needle. And we're going to start at this pin right here, and we're going to go over to this pin. Go down and under and grab a bit of that stuffing so that you don't see your black lines. And we're going to go up, and we're going to pull about half our thread through. So we want quite a bit on this side. And just leave that there for now. And then we're going to come down on this side, and we're going to go over to here. Make sure you go down and under and grab some of that stuffing. And now we're going to come back over to make this part of the mouth. And we're going to go over to the far pin. Don't want to pull this too tight because we want to make it look like it's bending naturally and not really pointed. Now we're going to come in here and then come out somewhere down here so we can tie. Make sure you go around the stuffing. I don't know why, but this is looking a lot more jagged than the first time I did this. Now you're going to take the other side of your string and you're going to do the same thing. So thread your needle. And you're going to go up onto this side of the mouth now and over to this pin. Making sure you're going down and around the stuffing. And now you're going to come into this side and come out down in the middle. So you can tie it. So you're coming right out the same spot. Now I'm going to tie it loosely and then tighten as I go. That actually might be enough. And then I'm going to thread these ends out the back. And again, you don't want to pull them, come on, too tight because you don't want to tighten your mouth. So I'm actually just going to watch from this side. And give those a cut. I'm not pulling on it this time. And I'm going to just swipe that black down and out. And then I'm going to come back and just kind of push these stitches around to close up that little hole I made there. Now you're going to grab your darker pink or whatever color you're going to make the little teeth or stitch lines on the mouth. Thread your needle. And I started in the center because I just wasn't sure. I wanted them to be even. So I just went through this center stitch. And I'm going to leave half my thread on one side. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to go one way and then the other way. So this one, yeah, I want to catch, and it doesn't matter how you do these. I'm just kind of skipping a stitch basically at the top. So I'm going to skip this stitch and go over to here. You're just basically wrapping around every, what would that be? Maybe half a centimeter. Oh, my hand is probably in the way here. And try and make them so they're not all the same direction. So I'm at the end here, and I'm going to do the same thing with, like I did with the mouth. I'm going to come down somewhere in the bottom and come out, and that's where I'm going to tie it. So now I'm going to grab this thread on the other side and try and mimic what I did on this side. So I got to go back down where this is coming out, and then I'm going to try and mimic this stitch over here. I think I went a little far with this one. Come on. Well, I think I've already messed up, so I'm just gonna all right, 1, 2, 3. And then when you get to the end, you're going to come out and go where you started so you can tie. And just like you did the mouth, you'll tie it nice and loose and then slowly tighten. And then bring that out the back. Not pulling on this one either. Oops. I should have turned it around and I pulled it a little bit. I'm just got to hide that in there now. Fix my stitches. And then squish that over. Then let's put the little tie around her neck, a little collar or whatever it is. So I'm just putting it evenly across the front. I'm going to turn it around and I'm just going to tie it in the back. Want this nice and tight. And then you're just going to hide those ends inside. You can stitch around it or on it a couple of times if you want. But I'm just going to hide my ends in. Grabbing a little bit of stuffing as I go, so I don't see that pink. Let's see, and I'll give that a cut. All right, now we're going to sew the little bow on. So you're going to take your longer string. If you don't have much string left, you can always use a separate string. And I'm just going to line it up over top of our center starting loop. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down on this side and up on this side. So I'm going around the whole row. And then I'm going to come up and go through the front. Through both, or 4 layers, however many layers you got there. So I'm going like this. And I'm just going to go around and around a few times. I'm going to go over a couple stitches and come back a couple of stitches, keeping on that same front loop line, or front loop, center loop. Make sure this is out of your way here. So I'm going down and around the whole magic loop or ring, through the bow, and then back down. So I think I've gone far enough to this side, so I'm just going to come back a couple stitches so I get on this side too. I'm trying not to be able to see my stitches on this side if you can. Go around one more time just to get that last stitch on this side. Just double check that I'm happy with how it's sitting before I tie it. Then I'm just going to tie it to that extra string I still had hanging. If you don't have one, you can always tie to one of your stitches here. And then we'll just put these ends in the head and out. Nice and close to the bow so you don't see it, and then out somewhere. give that a cut. You probably have to play with the little hairs a little bit. If you want them to be straighter, you can always wet them and then just kind of press them straight down or lay something heavy on top of them while they dry. And I'm going to leave you guys to sew on this third little button on your own, since we've already done 2 of them. And I guess we're done. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And I'd also like to say a huge thank you to my super thanks friends listed at the end of this video. And as always, take care, be safe, and happy crocheting.